In this course, we're going to be using ArchiCAD 22. I have a shortcut on my desktop, and when I double click on it, it will start ArchiCAD. You'll notice this dialog box first. Do you want to create a new project, or do you want to open an existing project? We're going to start with a new project and click on the new button. So this will use the standard ArchiCAD template that comes with your installation, and it will open up with some parts already created. So there'll be some elevations already created. What I'd like you to do is to go Edit, select all, and then hit the Delete key on your keyboard and delete all the viewports, and delete anyway. I just want to have a blank page that we can look at. I'd like to show you how ArchiCAD selects objects and how ArchiCAD creates objects, but we need to create something to get started. I'd like you to use the Fill tool. Here's the Fill tool over here. Click on the Fill tool, and we have some options on how we're going to create fills. We start off with some fills already made. I'm going to start off with my 600 by 600 fill. We then have the opportunity to choose the geometry method. Do we want a polygon, do we want a rectangle, or a rotated rectangle? If you choose the polygon method, you click at each point that you want to place your polygon, and you'll notice that there's this new pet palette. It's called a pet palette, and it allows you to change your vertex type. So you can change your vertex type back to where you started, and you'll notice that you're drawing with a pencil. We've got our alignment points here, so the ArchiCAD automatically senses where we started, it automatically senses those points, automatically senses vertically up. When we get to that vertical intersection there, you'll notice my pencil disappears and I just have a little dot at the end. If I go back to where I started, my pencil fills in black, click once, and it finishes that operation. So that is now a polygon area. If we use the rectangle method, click to start, click to finish, and it creates a rectangle. The rotated rectangle, click to start, click for the angle, click to finish the rectangle. Now back to our arrow tool. We use the arrow tool to select objects. The way that ArchiCAD selects objects is able to be changed by these buttons here. These are my selection methods, my geometry methods, and my quick selection. Let's start with this one here, our selection methods. In this first mode here, you can see it's got a little area like that. In this mode, when we click and drag our marquee over part of the object, it selects the entire object. So click, click again, click, and click again. And when the object is selected, to deselect it, you click away. So we click and click away to deselect it. In the second mode, the object has to be totally enclosed. So we click, click again, and it won't select it because the object has to be totally enclosed. If it's not totally enclosed, it won't be selected. Click and click away to deselect it. In the third mode, we have the choice of a direction. So if I click my marquee and drag it over that corner, nothing. If I click and drag it this direction, it will select it. So going from left to right won't select the object unless it's totally enclosed, and from right to left, it will select it even if it's only partially enclosed. I can also select objects by going to the edge. So if I go to the edge, it'll highlight, click, and it'll select that object. If I go to the middle and click, it won't select it, and I'll end up with a marquee. Which brings me to this particular option here, the quick selection. Now the quick selection, this magnet, when I go near an object like this that has a fill, you'll notice that the magnet shows up. Not shows up, does show up. When I click, it'll select that object. If you turn off the magnet, you can't select the object by its middle. If you turn the magnet on, you can. The space bar on your keyboard activates and deactivates that. So you hold down the space bar, you don't have the automatic selection, take your finger off the space bar, and you do have the automatic selection. In this file, I have lots of different objects. I have polylines, which are these objects here. These ones just here. I have fills, which are those ones, and I have some walls, which are these ones. And I wanted to talk to you about selecting multiple objects. Obviously, we can drag our marquee over everything, and it'll select everything. Depend on the options we've chosen here. If I drag my marquee like that, it'll select all of the parts. And you'll notice that these walls, it's selected the entire wall, and it's highlighted those in blue. So click there, click away to deselect everything. You can also use your Shift key. Holding the Shift key down, you can select multiple objects by holding down the Shift key. Again, if we click away, everything is deselected. We have the ability to use a keyboard shortcut, which is Select All. So Select All will select everything on the screen if we have the arrow tool. Now, there is a really important trick with ArchiCAD. If I select the Fill tool and go back up to Select All, it doesn't say Select All, it says Select All Fills. So we'll only select the fill objects that match this tool. If I choose the polyline tool and I go select all with my keyboard shortcut, it has selected my fills because they were selected, as well as my polygons. Let's just click away from everything. So if I select the polyline tool and then go select all, it just selects my polylines. Click away from everything. So if I go to my wall tool and I go select all, it just selects all my walls. So this is a really handy way of just selecting the type of objects that you want. You choose the tool first, then you go select all, and it'll just select those objects. I'm going to select a few objects, hit the escape key once, and they're deselected. So let's just do that again. So select all those objects, escape key once, and they're no longer selected. So you can either click away from objects or you can hit the escape key, and that will deselect those objects.